Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Whiskey and Jones.
Jones, whiskey.
He has a much better beard. My wife's in the other room telling herself, I'm going to make him shave that beard any minute. Not
And-
you, me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I drink whiskey.
there we go. I don't.
Woodford,
I got New
Yeah.
Holland Mad Hatter.
there you go.
You brought this over here, didn't you?
I think I did.
I think you did.
I'll be darned.
Pretty good.
How about that?
I'll take that.
And so I got a little Woodford Reserve. Can't go wrong with that. But also, Danny Boy IPA.
Red Solo Cup.
So, YouTube, what do we have for you today? Well, one of our favorite games, Destiny 2, this week dropped some new content on us. Season of the Drifter came out where we've got some new Gambit modes, Gambit Prime, and The Reckoning.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one. You can watch me horribly fail at both of them. Actually, I'm going to show you the ones that I didn't horribly fail at. Played for about, 3-4 hours. Ended up with 4 or 5 different pieces of gear. Go over how you get the gear, how you get in the future, how it's going to upgrade, various things like that. So let's jump right into it. This right here is the very first Gambit Prime match that I played. What I will say is it is quite different than standard Gambit. It is only one round, first of all.
Right.
The next main thing you'll notice is there's whole lots of various options about when invaders come, along with how fast you can build up moats and some of the buffs that you'll see during the process of building up those moats. So a lot of neat things that are happening now. On this particular match, you will not see any of those extra buffs because nobody has any of that armor yet, and if they do have the armor, they don't have enough points into the armor to get the first buff out of the armor sets.
Right. So without considering, if you're a first-time player running into this, without worrying about the armor and the different buffs or attributes that gear gives you, one of the things that I seem to notice from this in the difference in the gameplay is that it seems like the enemies are stronger, meaning that it seemed a lot more probable that I was running around in PvE mode and actually being somewhat challenged by the enemies, that my health was low and I'm getting ready to drop some motes. And then you've got an invader come in, and you're already maybe just a little less familiar with the map, and because it seems like it's a little bit more centralized.
Right.
You're always, it's not as big of a map necessarily. So, whereas in the other Gambit modes, you could always kind of count on the invader being on the opposite side as the PvE action.
Correct.
And that would kind of help you try to figure out where they are.
Right.
So those couple things combined, it makes it different. Similar but different enough that it's a new challenge.
Now, the one thing you'll notice right here is we have our first Well of Radiance drop. You'll notice we killed 3 wizards.
Right.
On the 3rd wizard, wherever that 3rd wizard dies, you're going to see that buff circle land on the ground.
Right. So the Primeval drops with an overshield.
Yes, you cannot touch them
Right.
until you kill the 3 wizards.
Right. So you kill 3 wizards, and always on the last one.
Always on the last one.
Then the well drops, and you stand in that, and it gives you a buff, where basically you're doing increased damage.
Correct.
And you definitely want that, because after a few seconds of damage time, and maybe it's not a few seconds, but
I don't know exactly how long it was. It's got to be 30 seconds at least, though, something like that.
So then after that, and after you've got a damage phase, then the wizards come back.
Wizards pop right back up. Got to do the whole thing, rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Now, the one thing that I noticed after playing 4 or 5 rounds is when you get against a team that has a really good invader, they will, or they seem to time the invasions as you're standing in that well of radiance. Now, as usual, you're going to get one shot by a whole bunch of different guns, whether they're throwing a super at the well of radiance, or whether it's some of the guns that you died, in the first one. I think Queenbreaker is the only one that they really nuked.
Yeah.
That you're not going to die in one shot. The other thing is look at this. Did I get this guy? Oh, come on. Nope, I ran away. No, I think I do get this guy.
Nope.
Ah,
oh yeah, you did.
There we go.
Hey.
Noob sauce to the rescue.
Yeah. Get that Telesto out.
Yeah. So the one thing I noticed is, even if you think you're winning, they didn't even have their primeval out. We had almost beaten them.
Yep.
If they have a good invader, this is going to last a long time, because those guys will invade and they will kill two or three of your guys at a pop.
Right. And
it'll just slowly creep that health bar back up. And honestly, I had 3 matches that were called on time.
Really?
Yeah, I had 3 stinking matches that were called on time, because both teams had an invader that was just completely kicking ass.
You guys sucked equally. That's what it really was.
Well, three people sucked equally on each team, and then there was the one invader that was a badass PvP player.
Right.
So
okay. All right.
But in general, without seeing all these new buffs in action, I would say my first impression is it's definitely different, and I thought it was pretty darn fun.
Yeah.
Just learning the new mechanics and all that sort of stuff. Now, my fear is, as soon as we start seeing really well-coordinated teams that have one of each of the 4 armor sets completely maxed out, if you're not on one of those really well-coordinated teams, there's a good chance that you're going to get wiped, and you're going to get wiped quick, and it's not going to be much fun.
Right.
So that's sort of my upcoming fear of what's going to happen once those armor sets and all those buffs start hitting.
Right. And then the other thing that we talked about before we started rolling here was that while we are excited about the new content, and it's fun to have these new game modes, as soon as everyone's got one of a full armor set of the 4 different variations, then what will there be to play for?
Yeah.
Potentially nothing new. I mean, really.
They better start putting out at least, exotic quests or something like that. I know the Thorn's coming out, but besides that, they haven't really announced a whole bunch of other stuff that's coming out. I'm going to actually go switch to the next mode there.
Let's check out some of the Reckoning gameplay, because that's the other mode that we have here. So describe for our broad and vast YouTube following here how
honestly, the 16 people that we know that have already subscribed, a lot of them haven't played yet.
Right. If they're even watching this video, describe how it works between the synthesis that you get, and then you come into the Reckoning, and you charge it with dropping your moat in, and then you're going for a piece of gear.
So you get a synthesis or a synthesizer from the Drifter. Then as you do a Gambit Prime, they'll drop, and I forget exactly what they're called. They're like coins or something like that. They look like the medallions that the Drifters flip in at the beginning of the things.
Just different colors.
Yeah, and there's the 4 different types that correspond to the 4 different armor sets that you could potentially get. Now, at the beginning of this when I switched here, at the beginning of the video you just saw right there, that is the bank that you put a coin into your synthesizer, it spits out a moat, and you put that moat into that bank. Now, what happens then is if you clear it, you're going to get a piece of gear that corresponds to whatever that moat that you put in there. So I'm going for Collector and Reaper, so I've been trying to get Collector and Reaper coins and going with Collector and Reaper moats to see if I can get the gear sets for this. Now, the one thing I will say is even if you had a full set of it on the weak synthesis that you have right now, you're only going to get the first tier of buff.
Yeah.
So honestly, I sort of scratch my head and I go, yeah, you want to keep playing around, but I sort of want to get to that next one, so at least you can get 2 or 3 tiers of the buffs.
Of course.
Because what's the point in doing all this if you're just going to replace it with the next tier the next week or something like that? So I'm sort of confused a little bit about that. But
well, I'm going to guess that those buffs are probably what you need the buff to get better and to beat the other teams. The tier 1 buff makes you a little bit better, so that you've got a better chance to win and get the tier 2 buff and then get the tier 3 buff.
Yeah.
So it's similar to...
It's trying to force you into that cycle of do a Gambit Prime, go over to the Reckoning to try to get a gear piece, to do a Gambit Prime, to go to the Reckoning to get a gear piece, and back and forth and back and forth. Now the interesting thing about what you're looking at is up there in the upper left-hand corner, I'm already past it now, but now it's going after the champion there. But the first thing that you have to do is you basically have 5 minutes to kill a whole bunch of enemies as fast as possible, and it's gonna bring up this percentage meter up to 100%.
Yeah, take it up to 100, and then you got a champion to beat.
Then you got a champion to beat. You got 2 minutes to beat the champion. Mm-hmm. Now the odd thing is, once you do all this, it literally just puts you back out to where that bank thing is, okay? And you can do it again.
Yeah.
Now, the crappy part that happened to me twice is when I was first coming in, it put me on a team that was 3/4 of the way through one of these matches. Mm-hmm. And they only had 2 players left, and then I was the third. And then we didn't finish it because it's hard to do this with 3 players. You really sort of need 4. And then it brought us back out, and those 2 left. So then I'm just sitting there by myself, waiting to see if somebody else is going to join. Well, you have a limited amount of time to do that, so then you have to go back out, and then you have to come back in.
Yeah.
And unless you're sort of going in as a well-coordinated team of 4, it's sort of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's one of those quality of life changes they probably need to make at some point, where it's like they need to do something that would potentially fix that.
Yeah.
But you see right there, it kicked us back out. You walk up to that, you get your loot. Which
I haven't done the Reckoning yet, but is this so similar to when you're in the Dreaming City and one person starts up the event there? Is this the same thing where you were talking about when you deposit the synthesis or the coin?
Yeah.
And then you get a mode.
So you see right there, it's the weak synthesizer is what I currently have.
Yeah.
You have the weak motes that you got from Gambit.
Right.
So now I'm applying the weak collector mode, which then spits out what I need to put into that bank.
I got you.
Now you'll see there, as soon as we put it in there, that 20-second timer started, or a 10-second timer started.
So did you put yours in?
No, one of the other guys put theirs in.
Okay.
They've already jumped in.
So when another person puts one in,
so look what happens next.
You're now playing on theirs?
I don't know. Darn good question.
Because that's what I was wondering. Let's say you're going for collector or reaper or whatever, and let's say an invader he's going for invader set, and he goes and drops an invader. So you just dropped yours in.
Yeah.
So it looks like everyone can drop in what they're going for.
Oh yeah. You drop in your own.
I got you.
So if you want collector gear, you can go and get the collector modes and drop those in every time.
Okay. See, I'm a noob, and I haven't done this yet because I was working on my level up bounties to get up to 640.
Yeah.
Because I've lagged behind a little bit. So
overall, it's pretty fun.
Of course.
Yeah. It's definitely fun, and in my opinion, I'll spend a lot of time doing this. This is going to be kind of interesting. I'm still scared mostly about well-coordinated teams just killing everybody.
So we just need to be one of those well-coordinated teams.
Yeah, we need to get the other guys.
If you want to play with us, YouTube, send a message to us down below. Hit us up. and we will potentially contact you guys, and we can hook up on PlayStation 4, build a well-coordinated team.
There we go.
And then, you know,
look at that big old guy.
Lay mayhem to all these other noobs.
That's not even the champion either.
Yeah, that guy looks like serious business. He's got a big health bar.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be getting out of there too. All right.
I died quite a bit there. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Well, yeah, we're getting used to it. You're getting used to it. All right. Is that it for this one?
I think that's it.
That's kind of the highlight reel of what we've experienced so far. Stay tuned for more Destiny 2 content, because as we mentioned here, the Thorn Quest is going to be coming out.
Yep.
There's several new exotic armor pieces for each of the classes. We'll cover those in the future.
And Friday, guess what? Did you hear what Xur does?
He comes back.
Xur,
comes back to town.
Yeah, and potential Forsaken exotics.
I don't believe it. We'll see.
Well,
but
it's in the loot pool, so
stay tuned right here where we will cover where Xur's at, what Xur's bringing. Subscribe, hit notifications.
I like subscribers.
Yep.
Yeah. I like beer too.
Yep.
Beer's even better than, well, no, it's not better than subscribers, is it?
I don't know.
Beer's pretty good.
All right, YouTube. That's it for today. Thanks, and we'll check you on the next one.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon somewhere. Get a beer.
If you're not drinking, you should be.